Vandy, Auburn. Auburn 6.5-point favorite. Game of the week.
Why?
Game of the week.
We just start there. Why? What have we seen out of the Auburn Tigers that let you think they're a 6.5-point favorite over Vanderbilt?
We're gonna go down a little rabbit hole here, Will.
Oh gosh, he's cleaning the AirPods. This is like the
as I untangle my headphones that I've had. And by the way, I like these. Some might wonder, like, oh, why do you? I have AirPods. I don't like using AirPods when I record because it sometimes gives me that 1 second delay, or if all of a sudden I'm down to like 10% battery. I don't like that in the middle of the pod or something like that. So I just always use these. But the over-under for this one, 4.5 touchdowns for Diego Pavia. Because in his 2 games against Hugh Freeze, that's what he's averaging. Wasn't just Diego Pavia leading New Mexico State to a 31-10 beatdown at Auburn last year. No. That is not the first chapter of the Diego Pavia Hugh Freeze saga that we have come to know and love and reference so often on this very show. He led New Mexico State to a 49-14 beatdown in Freeze's last game at Liberty when he totally didn't have one foot out the door already going to Auburn. In 2 games.
As you can see by how much better they played when he was at Auburn. His head was focused on Auburn.
Yes. I don't know if it was going to matter where Hugh Freeze was focused, unfortunately for him. In 2 games against Hugh Freeze's teams, Diego Pavia has outscored them 80-24. Pavia's teams have converted 17 of 28 on 3rd and 4th down in those matchups. He won't die. He will not die. Many saw the Freeze quote from Michael Casagrande. Freeze said, quote, "I'm sick of seeing that quarterback." I joke that, look, Pavia might as well show up to Jordan Hare in a Freddy Krueger mask because that dude has been haunting Hugh Freeze for the last 2 years. He could haunt him once again on Halloween weekend. And yes, this is Halloween weekend, not last weekend. I don't care if the calendar says November. It makes much more sense to have it Thursday and into the weekend. Let's just accept that Halloween could be in November and be celebrated. All right? Let's not be weird about it.
What are y'all's costumes?
Claire's a puppy.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty
Celebrate
cute.
That, whatever. That's
I'll text you the pic. We took her to Boo Bash at the zoo on Sunday, and it was hot for a puppy costume. And we took her out of it after like 10 minutes. She did like the trick or treating. She got like 50 different people saying that's so cute. And then we took her out of the costume. And then 15 minutes later, she's like putting her hands up like she wants back in the costume. Gets back in the costume. Gets some more compliments. Has the time of her life. It was a great.
What's that tape, Anthony Richardson? That's a competitor right there.
I'm not tired. I'm just getting started. That was just the warm up. We're ready to go. No, but we're not dressing up. But I debated what we were going to do, and I was like, dog walker's the lamest thing that I could come up with that would pair well for that. It's kind of tough. We're just going to let her be a puppy, and we're going to let her do her thing. Real quick, what are you going to be?
Me and Andre are going to be Moo Ding, and the zookeeper she keeps attacking.
That's
I
good.
got like a little pose.
Speaking of the zoo, yeah, how about that? That's great. All right, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, Diego Pavia doing Diego Pavia things.
Yep.
I joked that that Pavia, like with the Freddy Krueger mask, would make sense. That's what he's been. Here's the irony in all of this. Okay, it's kind of weird that it played out this way with him going to Vandy. Like, we're now going to have 3 different iterations of the Pavia versus Freeze thing, if you think about it, because obviously, like, Freeze was first at Liberty, and then Pavia was at New Mexico State for the first 2 matchups. Freeze was at Auburn last year, and now he's at Vandy versus Auburn. Like, it's weird. 3 different iterations of Pavia versus Freeze. You know who could have prevented that from happening?
Plenty of people.
Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze could have prevented that from happening.
Oh, yeah.
There are 3 different transfer portal windows in which Hugh Freeze could have brought Diego Pavia to Auburn and instead said, enemy, buddy, you're my friend. Get on my side. Could have done it after the 2022 regular season, which was still fresh on Hugh Freeze's mind because he got his tail whipped by Diego Pavia, and he was going to go to the portal to get a quarterback anyways. He could have looked in the post-spring window in 2023, which he did look, but instead he ended up with Peyton Thorne instead of Diego Pavia. And then again, he could have looked in the post-2023 regular season window when he really could have said, you know what, Diego Pavia, that guy has beaten me twice. Maybe I should bring him on board instead of watching Peyton Thorne play quarterback all over again. Didn't do it.
Can you imagine a quarterback battle between Peyton Thorne and Diego Pavia, like on the practice field, where Diego is just like sunning him and he's like looking up at him, like, let me tell you something, buddy. And like Thorne, I mean, it would make Thorne better. That's the thing nobody understands is look what LSU did with Swan, bringing in a backup who, if your guy starts to struggle, you can go to him. I would have just taken him at Auburn and been like, hey, we're Auburn, not Vandy, come here. But alas, Hugh Freeze just Thought he knew better.
Pavia, knowing him, he probably would have still gone to Vandy though. If he's like in a true battle, and I guess he technically was.
I think it wouldn't have been a battle between him and Peyton Thorne. I think he would have seen that guy go sign me up.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what that guy needs to show to Hugh Freeze, and you could say like, oh, maybe scheme fit, whatever. The irony is that Hugh Freeze went on McElroy and Cole went out with McElroy and Cole in the offseason, and he complained about the 7-figure price tag with the portal quarterbacks. And that's why he stuck with Peyton Thorne. He's like, do I want to make this sort of investment, or do I want to just trust my ability to develop a quarterback? I don't know what Diego Pavia got from Vandy. It sure as heck wasn't $1 million. He has provided more ROI than perhaps all of 5 quarterbacks in college football this year. You can't tell me that guy hasn't provided huge financial incentive for Vanderbilt's football program, for Vanderbilt's university as a whole. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, the other thing that Hugh Freeze has very publicly complained about, his quarterback turning the ball over, something that's been a pretty big sticking point. Maybe got into a battle with a certain former quarterback that played for him, Bo Wallace. Auburn's 129th in America in turnovers lost. Vandy is 6th. Points per core 4 game, Will. Auburn, 17. Vandy, 29. And of course, Diego Pavia has the SEC win that every Auburn fan and their mother covets, an upset of number 1 Alabama. Since the start of last season, Diego Pavia has 3 SEC wins. Hugh Freeze has 4. So Pavia and his New Mexico State to Vandy crew, who spent a year at New Mexico State, have a chance to even that total with Hugh Freeze this weekend. They have a chance.
Will that happen? 6.5 points. This is the most disrespectful line I've ever seen. We said the Texas line was disrespectful at 19, and they covered that kind of with ease. What are people seeing for this Auburn football team?
I think they're seeing a defense that hasn't quit. I think they're seeing a defense that I think you could make a case. There are several arguments to be made that they are a group that is punching above its weight to a certain extent. I think they've kind of outperformed what I thought they would be at different points this season. Now, the late game collapses are obviously going to overshadow who they've been for the majority of the time that they've been on the field, right? You can't allow Michael Hawkins Jr. to complete that pass to J.J. Hester in the Oklahoma game. You can't allow Brady Cook to come back from the hospital and lead a Mizzou program that was left for dead to a win in that building. You can't have these things happen and still be called an elite unit. I totally get it, okay? It's still been a defense that under DJ Durkin has been, for the most part, solid, and has had to work against the fact that all of these turnovers are obviously not their fault. It's not their fault that Peyton Thorne wants to throw it directly to a DB.
I was going to say that wasn't his fault. The Oklahoma game
either. Yeah. The pick six definitely was. But
no, I'm talking about the defense. Like the defense did not throwing a pass to Oklahoma that caused Auburn.
Right. Yeah. I saw Eugene Asante's quote from the next round about how he's excited about the success that Pavia and Vandy have had, but that they didn't forget about last year, and he's going to make sure that his teammates don't forget. Buddy, if your teammates have forgotten about what New Mexico State did on your home field, losing by 21 points, we need to have a conversation about amnesia. We need to have a conversation about who you are as a football player. If that doesn't just sit in the back of your mind and stew at you for an entire offseason, that same dude who's dapping up your head coach is coming back to your building. If you need to remind people of, oh yeah, it's that guy. The guy who's 5'8", who's running around all over our field and just making plays left and right, who thinks he's Johnny Manziel when he looks in the mirror. If you don't remember that guy, you got problems. Maybe they'll remember him. Maybe they won't. But if you think I'm picking against Diego Pavia in a matchup against Hugh Freeze, you're freaking crazy. Doors win this one 24-20. Pavia strikes again, clinches Vandy's first bowl berth in 6 years.
Yeah, I started to be like, if you don't remember Diego Pavia, his film is still pinned to the top of his profile, but his film is no longer pinned to the top of his profile.
His high school film or his
transfer film? It was like GPA, all academic.
What's his GPA? What does it say?
I don't remember. It's not in front of me, but yeah, he has now pinned his podcast, so now he's gone Hollywood.
Welcome to the club.
I have often said, doesn't matter who the coach is at Auburn, they're going to get one Jordan Hill game a year. Right. And I thought that was going to be the
Jordan Hare. Jordan Hare. Did you say Jordan Hill?
I did it again, man. I'm sorry. Again, it's losing its mystery. There's one good Jordan Hare game a year. And Sorry, it feels like I'm doing a voice when I say that. Anyway, so I thought it was going to be Arkansas. No. Thought it was going to be Oklahoma. It surely should have been. If they get the Jordan Hare game against Diego Pavia and Vandy, Hugh Freeze, you are enemy number one. I have been rooting for you guys and hoping you turn this thing around for a long time, despite all the other off the field stuff. I kept between the movie. If you guys go out and beat Vandy by 30 points because of Jordan Hare magic, I'm going to lose it. Like this is, I'm trying to just rationalize the 7-point line because like exactly what you just said. Like Diego Pavia undefeated against State of Alabama, Hugh Freeze undefeated against is winless against Diego Pavia. Obvious, like all of this says one thing. I understand that the Auburn defense is kind of in there, but I mean at the end of the day, like I mean the best defensive player on either of these teams might be CJ Taylor.
Yeah, he's up there. He's up there. Jalen McLeod's been a really good player for that Auburn defense as well.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I always love I think Eugene Asante's phenomenal as well, but most versatile player, I think CJ Taylor definitely qualifies for that. All the different things he does for Vandy's defense. That's actually kind of an underrated in terms of the non-Pavia storylines. Why is Vandy suddenly relevant? It's not just simply Diego Pavia and the New Mexico State imports, though we talk about it a lot. The Clark Lee decision to go to decide I'm going to be my own DC. I'm just going to go back to my Notre Dame days and start calling plays. It's been a really positive result for that team. Like they're a full yard per play better. They're basically 2 touchdowns per game better than what they were last year. So in addition to having a guy that picks up all these third downs and just keeps these defenses on the field way longer than they'd like to be, that's definitely, and perhaps that's, benefited the Vandy defense is that they actually have a quarterback that can, play complementary football and do these things for you as well. But that's probably a lost in the shuffle storyline of this team.
Yeah, I think, we always say get your own play caller, but I think that really just applies to offense because there's not a ton of guys who are calling the plays on offense that are working. Like,
he's got Jerry Kill to handle the head coaching stuff, which is also that's sort of, it's a very unique situation, the dynamics that Clark Lee has accepted at Vandy.
Every part of what you're telling me about Auburn just makes me so bad. Like he did all the things they did wrong. DJ Durkins, of course their DC is DJ Durkins. It's like, yeah, okay, you don't have to be some Zoomer. You don't have to be some TikTok kid doing the renegade Hugh Freeze. Jerry Kill is running the show.
Dude, Tim Beck is like 62. All right.
Like, just trust Jerry Kill. You don't have to be running RPOs. He's doing it. So, yeah, point being, I think calling your own defense might be fine. Saw Saban kind of did that a little bit last year, allegedly. So, yeah, point being, I'm picking Vandy here. It should be, honestly, not that close. If Auburn plays out of their mind here, I'm going to be furious at you, Freeze.
If Auburn plays out of its mind, it's the best win.
Please.
It'd be the best win of Auburn's season. Is it? No. I think it's the best win of the Hugh Freeze era.
Goodness, man. They have a lot of almost wins.
At Cal last year, nope. At Arkansas won 4 games last year.
Yeah.
There's probably one I'm forgetting. Because obviously Gravedigger happened, didn't get to beat Bama. Georgia, close, doesn't count as a win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The 2 have been losses that I can think of.
I think this would be the best win of the Freeze era. Finally defeating the big boss at the end, that is Diego Pavia. What an exhale moment this would be for Hugh Freeze.
Yep.